sorry. Yeah, like we feel kind of like tired after the summertime, and digestion is a little bit off, and so it was pretty interesting to find it in a different place in the world that people were kind of noticing the same change because their seasons are very similar to ours. So they're kind of,
Right. Yeah.
experiencing this change in the Vata season, but they weren't quite sure, as we're not, before we're, become aware of it. Like, well, what is it? We think it's the change of our summer and go and having fun in the heat. And then all of a sudden the anxiety of kids going back to work and school and work changing for us and all, but really it's the
No,
change
for
in
me, it's the temperature, it's the season and the daylight.
everything.
Like it is, we're under freeze warning last night and tonight. It's down to like 33, 32.
Wow. And we
Yeah.
only are going to hit like 38, 40.
Yeah.
So that's exactly it. So that's the change that dramatically affects, like, our bodies are so used to that heat and that sweat and that, like,
Oh, I'm so glad that's over.
yeah, but the later nights and the entertaining, like fun things like that are going on. So we cram more in. And then the change in the temperature drops and the wind kicks up. And then all of a sudden you get a 70-degree day. And then you get a 40-degree day. So it's very,
And it has been bouncing around.
yeah. And that's traditional to Vata to fall. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the, main concerns, is to kind of detox the body out to set up for this fall, winter season coming. Like, the seasonal junctures are really important.
Yeah. Yep.
But if
Well,
we're not aware of that, we just think we're a little bit whirly and airy and we're unsettled, and overwhelm sets in faster, and all of a sudden our skin is changing and we're like, what the hell? And it's that, it's that typical Vata. I've been hearing kids are sometimes anxious at night and going to sleep, and moms think it's just because school started. But it's school starting and the season changing.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so where are you? How was your, like, last month of the summer and your new job, and how are you feeling?
The new job is still challenging, but it's getting a little easier.
Okay.
And they're happy with me.
Very good.
So, and I'm starting to feel like I'm able to make more contributions to the team
Okay.
than I was in the first 3 months. So, I definitely see progress,
Good.
and so do they. And I had my first business trip last week. I went to a customer conference in Dallas.
Oh, nice.
And so that was nice to get out. But Dallas, from where I live, there's no direct flights to Dallas from
Oh,
Raleigh, Durham. So it was an all day affair for me to get there. From the time I left my house, I think I got a lift at 7:30 in the morning, to the time I actually got to the hotel, which was about 3:30, but that's with an hour time change. So 7:30 to 4:30 to get there. Then I had all day meeting, conference meeting Monday, pretty light day on Tuesday, only one customer meeting. And then it took me all day Wednesday to get home, so it's like, oh, I don't miss that. Don't miss that at all.
where was your connection?
Strangely, on the way down there, I flew to Detroit. And then, because it's northwest and then down. And on the way back, I went through Atlanta, and it didn't matter. They took about the same amount of time. Yeah.
And Atlanta is a huge airport, right?
Well, so is Detroit.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
we flew into Detroit to your brother's, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not quite as big as Atlanta,
Yeah.
but it's
I
still
don't, we were lucky because I think we just had carry. No, did we just have carry-ons? I don't remember, but it was kind of easy, quick out, and your brother was there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's because it's set up differently. Uh, anyway, Atlanta, you have to take the tram, the underground to get to the terminal baggage and all of that. And you generally don't have to do that in Detroit. So that was, I've been traveling a lot, not, I mean, that was business, but God, I went to the beach a bunch of times. I went to the mountains. I mean, I had a busy summer.
Yeah.
A lot of travel. And even, let's see, I got back from Dallas on a Wednesday night. Friday morning, I was in the car driving down to Hilton Head to go visit Lisa. And spent the weekend with her. And then I came back, and then I may or may not have a trip the first weekend in November. And then I've got a Thanksgiving trip to the Outer Banks to Ocracoke Island with a girlfriend.
Oh my goodness.
So I mean, it's still going.
Well, what are you, so you're going to be traveling too. So remember, same as me, I'm going to be traveling a couple weekends as well. Now it's Vata season, and you have been traveling in the heat of the summer and all that. So before you, during the process of setting up these trips, like keep a little journal or keep a log for yourself of things to do to anticipate that traveling and that change, and that maybe there's a time change or not within your schedule, and kind of get yourself prepared for it so that it doesn't disturb. Like, we overlook that because the travel is fun or not, or it's work or whatever. So it's either kind of like aggravating or it's fun, and we just keep going through the process to get everything done to get there. And then we get there, but the body and the mind are going like this, like as we're preparing, and we don't pay attention to it because we got so much stuff to do to get there or to get ready to get there. Like before I left to go to France, it was like, get all my work done, get the restaurant all settled, get clothes.
So what are you talking about?
So because this, especially like this next month and then leading in, so like try harder when you're home to do your rhythmic eating, like what works best for you, what meal pattern works. Start adding in maybe some of those more grounding foods, like start looking towards, like in the farmer's market by you, it's probably similar to here. The squashes are all coming in, like beets are still good, like carrots, like things that are in the ground. It sounds hokey, but it's like proven, like it's not just theory. Like root vegetables, it's the energy of root vegetables pushes your energy down. So Vata is up, it's energy that goes up and out and over, and Vata is in every direction. So if you're eating, still incorporating all those salads and light foods and cold foods and things, that energy is more of dispersing of energy. That's up and around. Stalk vegetables, even some leafy greens sometimes are harder if they're salad rather than cooked. Right. And then you start incorporating. Now the season is changing, so change your diet a little bit so that things promote downward energy rather than the up, because the travel's going to also induce the brain and the mind to be going up, out, that Vata. And the Vata, wind and air, is coming in and doing the same thing. So when, like in Symbolize, in like that wind and air looks like it's just that wind and air, but it truly affects the body that way. So we want to kind of push things down a little bit. And the diet's the number one and the easiest thing you can do, aside from meditating, doing your self massage. Like, you want things to be comforted so that your brain and your body can do all that other Vata stuff, that more Pitta stuff that you're asking it to do. So we kind of push things down and, try to give yourself whatever meal plan regiment was working for you when you felt the best, like when you really felt clarity and groundedness and all that. Whether for you it was skipping breakfast, having the big lunch, soup for dinner, or the other way around, like maybe you liked a little bit of breakfast and no dinner, like whatever worked.
You know, what's funny is I really do like breakfast, but it turns out that that's the easiest one for me to skip.
Me too. Yep. I
You
used to
know?
love breakfast, but it's definitely the easiest one to skip.
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm still all over the map. I just can't get consistency. So, but I'm this is my second, I'm shooting for 2 days a week where I only have one meal.
Okay.
And so it really depends on what the rest of my activities are like for that week as to what day it's going to be.
Yep.
So I did it Monday because I had been eating and drinking everything all weekend, and I was just like, So I did it Monday, and then yesterday I had lunch and dinner, but the dinner was a much lighter dinner, and lunch was what was lunch? Actually, I ate Japanese stuff both meals. One was like tofu with a bunch of Japanese vegetables and a beef broth with soy sauce and stuff. So I made that. And then I had another udon, which is a noodle
Yep.
soup for dinner. So I had two kind of brothy things yesterday. And then today I'm just doing another one meal a day. So at lunch, I had a big salad with tuna fish and
Okay.
some, peppers and cucumbers and avocado, and put some of it in a wrap. And then I had a couple of mekons, what are they called in the States? Like a tangerine or a cutie,
Oh, okay.
kind of in between. Had a couple of those. And so now, it's 7:30. I'm on my second cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
I might throw some of that MCT oil in just to get me through the rest of the night.
Yeah. Yep. Very good. Yep.
So that'll be the second one this week. But tomorrow I have a friend coming over for dinner. So I'll probably eat leftover Japanese brothy stuff for lunch.
Well, if you think it's going to be a nice big dinner with your girlfriend, you can do it. It's easy. Just wait, like do what you can, have that bullet coffee or something with the MCT in it for breakfast or whatever, and then get your work done. Or the longer you kind of prolong that as you on your mono days, the easier it becomes. I'm sure you're learning, like after a while, you're like, so what? I ate, not going to eat until later, or keep working. The hard part is working from home.
The thing what I have found though on the mono, it's easier for me to eat a big lunch
Mm-hmm.
and have that be my primary meal.
Yeah.
And then just not have, just stick with tea or
Me too. Yeah. I was having
at dinner
2 or 3
because
o'clock, have lunch or dinner at 2 or 3
yes,
and then be
yeah.
done.
And right, but she's not going to come. We probably won't eat until 6:30 or 7. So to go from 3 o'clock this afternoon, which is when I finished my lunch today,
Yeah.
until 6:30
Oh
tomorrow
yeah. So have,
night,
yeah.
that's a little more than I want to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Just have something light, like you said.
yeah. So I'm still trying to incorporate these things, but I guess it's just still too much other stuff,
Yeah.
right? Too much booze, too many celebrations with special foods, and
Yeah.
I just haven't really made any progress. I mean, I know I told you that one time when I went with my sister and her husband, I didn't gain any weight that weekend because I was consciously just eating one meal a day.
Yeah.
Um,
And how's your exercise incorporating into this?
That's also kind of hit or miss. You
Yeah.
know, it's all, I can't get on a regular schedule. So I just, my, my summer routine got derailed when they closed the pool.
Oh,
And then the gym that I was thinking that I would start going to that's in my neighborhood, that was closed for remodeling. And
hmm,
you know, so I was walking and doing some yoga. And then I was gone essentially for a week, you know, 3 days. I rode my bike once, rode a bike once. It's just been, you know, it's just inconsistent,
yeah,
inconsistent, inconsistent is both my diet and my exercise.
yeah. So what would you like to see happen in regards to that and to what you just said?
Well, I would like to get more consistent with both.
Do you think it's more consistency or more discipline?
That's interesting because I was in mentally, I'm like, well, yeah, it's the same thing with my diet and my exercise, but I guess if I was more disciplined, I wouldn't have to be as consistent,
Right.
right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
it when the determination gets stronger than the need to want to have all those other things, um, for a reason. Like, so I just was speaking to someone yesterday, friend of mine. His sister was in visiting, and she's just gotten very just more overweight, more overweight, more overweight. And he was saying to her, because they hadn't seen each other in a while, so they gathered and they went for like a little walk and stuff. And she said something about food, and this is what I had for blah blah blah, whatever. And he goes, "Ooh, I don't eat that anymore." And she was like, "Why?" And he goes, I just don't, I want to feel better that I'm older now, because he's just 70. I think he's just 70. And he's like, and I don't want to be like mom and dad in a nursing home and care and all that. And she's like, but why would you deprive yourself all the luxuries and the wonderfulness of the food and everything now to worry about it later? And he's like, because I already know what I want my later to be. She couldn't understand that. She just
mm,
was like, that's stupid. Like,
wow.
but how important is your later? And she's younger than him. So she's probably only in her late 60s. And she was finding it very hard to, like, he said they didn't even walk a quarter mile, like this little track around the it's like where Red Bank Regional, where those little fields are in the, there's a little tiny path that you can go a little loop or the big loop or a couple loops. And she was like, wow, we walked a long time. I didn't think I was going to make it. It's like, yeah, but sedentary lifestyle. And she is at the mindset that the food is too good to give up. And why would you give it up? And he was like, oh boy, like, because my health and my quality of life is more important to me.
Yeah.
So when 6 months or so ago, you were much more in the mindset of like, no, I want my knees. I want to go play tennis again, like, in 10 years, I want this or that. And so if you can recap that mindset again, or start to make that, because we all, pretty much can get derailed in the summertime. People, that's what it is. We stay up later, we have more fun, we have more gatherings, we celebrate more, whatever. But then this season changes and you're like, oh, wow, I kind of had fun this summer. Maybe now I need to dig back in again.
Yeah.
It depends on what's important to you and how important it is to you. To you, to everyone, like
Yeah.
whatever your,
Right.
and it's always easier to say, oh, I don't care. Like to the smoker who's
Well,
dying of
it's
lung
not that I
cancer.
don't care. I
Yeah.
know I care,
Yeah.
but apparently I don't care enough. All right. So far.
Yes.
Right. I mean, I've done it before, lost, 30, 40 pounds over a period of time and, kept
Yeah.
it off for a couple of years, but it came back, and then I did it again. And
Yeah,
you know,
that yo-yo effect too on the body is it's very unstable too to the blood sugar and things too. So
yeah, well, it's a yo-yo, but it's a slow yo-yo.
yeah,
It's a
very
slow,
slow.
long yo-yo. Takes a long time to get down
Yes.
and not so long to come up.
Yeah.
So,
Well, um, you know what you want, and I think you definitely have the tools to get there. Maybe we need to map out a strategy that is more concrete for you, or more like, I think the bigger picture somehow has to be like really, really has to resonate somewhere with you. And you know what I was thinking too when I was away was, typing different things for the detox and just kind of typing away on different things. And I was reading a book and they were talking about how the one guy was what they call the army brats, like he
mhm.
was in 7 different grammar schools or something within that whole span, and then 4 different high schools and all this. So that ability to have that stability or that control over things will come out somewhere in your life. And that up and down, and that sometimes we have to address things like that we would never think had anything to do with anything,
Mm,
but they do. And it's different, but we all have something about that. And somewhere within you, and even this season when we were talking before this, what made it click for me, that that vata, that up and that down and that in and that out, and the lifestyle from your childhood, a connection to a stability or a grounding in food, or equating different things associated with food, is a happy place.
yeah, mostly. I mean,
Yeah,
we're happy eaters, good cooks in our family, and,
yeah,
you know, comfort food, stress eating, it's always,
yeah,
revolves around food and eating and drinking.
yeah. So maybe some introspect on how to, I don't want to say overcome it, because you kind of don't. That's a good memory. That's a good thing. But
Right.
keep it within restrictions of your own health, guidelines, or address it in a way that's more positive. You know, use those big food items and those big drinking times for the real special, things.
Yeah, instead of, and that's exactly right. Like,
Right. And
so last night I went out with this friend, and when I got there, she had a glass of wine that she was drinking. And I looked at that wine and I thought, yeah, I'd really like a glass of wine. And then I thought, do I really want a glass of wine? I was like, no, I'm actually cold and I want some hot tea. So I ordered hot tea. So, there's times when I can do that.
yeah,
And then it's like Saturday, there's a friend of mine's daughter is having a baby. And so she's hosting the shower and she invited me to go. And, so it's not my party, right? There's only going to be like 1 or 2 people that I know there. It's for her daughter and
right.
her granddaughter, the birth. So it's not a bunch of people that I know. I don't have to stay there the whole time. And I'm thinking, it's a party. Of course I'm going to want to drink. But
Yeah,
and then I'm like, well, why should I drink just because it's this person's party? It's not my party,
right.
so and it's
Yeah,
already a tug of war here
yeah,
mentally. It's
right.
like I have to say no to myself sometimes,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
And is this a time to say yes or no? Yeah, I don't know that yet.
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
Well, sometimes it's just starting, like starting to give yourself the power of control to make those decisions. Like, no, I really don't want one today. Maybe tomorrow. Instead of always thinking, oh yeah, it's always good. Yeah. Oh,
Well, you know, I still struggle with it's Friday. I worked my ass off. I deserve a
yeah,
couple of drinks, you know, or pizza, or I rarely eat pizza, so I
right.
should use that as an example. But, you
I know.
know,
Yeah,
it's the entitlement
right.
feeling of this is the reward
Yeah,
for the hard work. If I could somehow lobotomize that connection,
yeah.
that would be
It's
great.
the remember we're back to the trigger habit reward.
Yeah.
The trigger is, oh, it's Friday.
Mhm.
Habit is I worked my ass off all week. I
I
mean,
wanna
in
reward
the beginning.
myself,
Yep.
right? How am I gonna reward myself? With food and booze.
Yeah. Which so then just popped into mind too. So you have that trigger habit reward, and then you have that reward. Remember how it's changing the thought process, like how we think of it. So then what are after that thought and that trigger and that habit, but what are the thoughts that are going to generate from that? They're going to be bad, not good. They're going to be negative, not positive. So the more you think of, all right, so if I eat and drink all this, the next day is shit and hangover. I'm gonna feel like shit and I'm gonna have a hangover, probably. And I'm gonna feel remorse over.
The
So
thing is, I don't usually feel bad the next day. I mean,
no.
I never drink so much that I feel like crap. I
Okay.
even when I was younger, I rarely had hangovers. I don't know why. But so it's not that I don't feel good the next morning. It's that I was like, oh fuck, I ate like half a cake.
Yeah.
You know, and like, oh, all the calories. It's
Yeah.
that I just ate.
Right. So it's more so that mindset of how do you want to feel mentally after eating those,
Yeah.
those amounts, which
Right.
slowly starts to come back to a decision in that time where you get better at saying, no, I don't want to wake up tomorrow, or I don't want to wake up at, whatever and say, shit, damn it, I did it again. you know.
I sabotaged myself
Yeah.
again. Yep, a story of my life.
And you and, many others of us in different circumstances. But we
Right.
have to start, getting to the path that works for
Yeah.
us more consistently in the
I
positive.
tell you what, it's just like how many years of struggling with the same shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, what is wrong with me?
It's not just, yeah, it's overcoming certain things are usually, emotionally tied. When we were going through that little intermittent um, fasting challenge, and I had just finished pulling all my notes back from when I did the Dave Asprey one a while ago. His life story is he was overweight from when he was young and younger, and he was always that
Yeah.
big, heavy. And then after a while, he was like, oh, wait, I can figure out how to do this. And now it's working. It's proof positive, and I like it. So I don't want to do that shit anymore. And so when we can get you to that point where the mind shift comes in, or maybe even, look up one of his bios or something, or like read a little bit. It's very positive because he was very overweight and ate. I forget what he said, the amounts that he was eating. I don't think he drank too much. I think his was more food as well. But he was always that big, heavy kid. And now he's this super powerful, extremely, wealthy, dynamic business owner that has kept the weight off for 10 years.
Who is it?
It's Dave Asprey. David Asprey? Dave Asprey.
Let me grab something to write with. I mean,
I can send it to you or put it in the chat too, because
yeah, maybe the trick is, or not the trick, but to get some books
yeah,
about people who have overcome bad eating habits and, lost a bunch of weight, and start reading their stories at night, so that instead of, my usual routine of sitting down,
oh yeah,
watching TV, and
his is a good one. Then I'm going to send this. I just found I just Googled him, and
Dave Asprey.
yeah, I'm just gonna put this in the here's his way, daveasprey.com. Let me copy it. I'm gonna put it here in our chat. Where is our chat?
I don't know.
Here it is. Okay, I'm gonna put it down here, and then you can copy and paste it.
Oh, I spelt it correct.
Yep, Dave Asprey. And he has now taken over the world of, like, biohacking your rhythms, and he's very knowledgeable. If you listen to, he's on so many podcasts, and he's a really sweet guy. Like, he's really, and he's like, oh, I was over 300 pounds, and like, he was way up there. And now he's just like intermittent fasting, and like most of the time he's got kids now. They own and live on an organic farm, and they eat only good, really lean meats and good food. And but he's gotten to the point where lots of times, like, he'll drink his coffee with a bulletproof in it or not, with the ghee or the MCT or whatever. And then he'll have his late lunch or dinner with his family, and like, that's it. And he just is like, your body doesn't need it all. Like, you're screwing it up. This is what Ayurveda has been saying for 7,000 years. The body's intelligent. It was meant to do that little bit of feasting, that eating, and then totally resting for as long as you can go until like that next meal, so that it uses all that intelligence you're giving it to do all the stuff the body needs for it to do, and then kind of send it through his waste, and then eat the next time and do it again, put in all that good intelligence. So as we overeat and eat the wrong foods, we're giving our body
every 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, we're giving our body, which is the mainstream used to be, like, especially us as athletes back then, like, keep that blood sugar, and all the wrong messages
For the diabetics, they tell that too.
Yeah.
Most of the diet things are like, yeah, you should eat every 2 or 3 hours.
It's so wrong.
Like, okay.
It's so productive, intuitive to the body. The body's like, wait, no, stop.
Yeah.
So yeah, read a little bit of his anything. I think
if you have any other people that have good, like, motivating stories about weight loss that you
I can
think of, send me a list, and I'll just try to change my habits,
library, and
right, and so hopefully, if I'm
did you ever read the Daniel Project?
No.
Had that last year on our list. I read it, and I was going through, I was going to introduce it to Katie's church, because Richard was just starting to preach a little bit in his practice with the youth. It's a phenomenal thing they did in one of the largest Baptist church out in Southern California. And Dr. Mark Hyman, who I love and I follow all the time, he and one other guy collaborated on it. And so it was church-based, and they went in and gave the congregation all these tools, and the why we don't eat all this excessive processed foods, or too much food, or too often, like the whole message, because God made our bodies these perfect, pure temples, and we're going against God when we're harming our bodies. But they went through it in chapters, and they teach you. I have the book right up at my bedside. They teach you the hows and the why of why you're eating better food, and what you're doing, and how you're really honoring God more by keeping your body as a temple as he, intended it to be. So it's a really, and it goes, and it has diet, it has recipes in it. It has like There's a second book that's just a workbook, but it's like chapter by chapter. And
The Daniel Project.
Mhm.
Okay. So I want I want you to see this. Can you read it?
Just barely. Brush your teeth. Oh, yay! Put your night guard in.
So
No grazing.
this is my 8 o'clock alarm. Every night it goes off. Now, the problem is I don't always do what it says. I'll turn it off and blow it off, especially like I'm here drinking tea and I'm thinking I might need some MCT oil to make it through tonight. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
But I mean, I feel like sometimes I think I pushed it, say I haven't eaten, like, especially getting back into the rhythm and stuff. So I had gone well over 20 hours or more today, and not intentionally. I didn't eat from 2 o'clock yesterday. And by the time I got to eat again today, it was almost 1 o'clock. But I was so screwed up from the time change and all that, and trying to get my body in. But I was like, just drink a big thing of water. So I would drink a big thing of water, and then I would start typing again, and I'd forget.
right.
And then also, so you can overcome, there are tricks. We're just so conditioned to, oh, I'm hungry. Oh my God, something's going to happen. But after you start to teach your body, like, it's all right, you're really not hungry. Those are just,
Well, a lot of times the first hunger, if you ignore it, it'll go away
Yeah.
for a couple hours and then it'll come back. And then if you can generally ignore the second time too.
Yeah, right. And then if you just go to bed, that's 8 hours of
Yeah.
fasting right there. So that's a
So
great
so
start.
I'm thinking maybe it's 8 o'clock here when we get off the phone. I had turned
Yeah.
on my jacuzzi because I'm gonna go jump in the jacuzzi.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think I might take a bath.
I'll just try to get myself not to walk through the kitchen
And just take a jacuzzi and then just
and then go to
reward
bed.
yourself with going to bed.
Yeah.
And there's a whole nother 8 hours added on. You wake up in the morning and go, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
know?
The other thing I'll show you is something that I found that I'm just starting to, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm not usually, I hate documenting stuff, but there's this book that says,
You got this.
you
Wellness
got this
planner.
wellness planner, right? And so it's set up, has all of these tabs, for different months and calendars and notes and, place where you
It's
can,
reinforcement. It's a really good thing.
so yeah, I'm trying to use it, right? But this isn't my kind of thing that I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long this will last for. Usually it's not long.
That's all right. Skip a little bit and then, just go back to it. But, just keep it out somewhere. Keep it on the coffee table, keep it next to your chair.
Yep, that's where it was on my recliner.
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right.
Well, it's been a year now
Yeah.
since we started, and I sadly have to say I'm fatter now than I was when we started.
Well,
So not that I'm not saying
oh,
that it's not your fault. I'm saying this about me,
right.
and I'm just like,
Well, again, that it has to be something that's more important for you. So I would start just by looking into those two, the Daniel Project,
mhm.
and then when kicked up, and then Dave Asprey. So because he produced this whole program for himself because he was over 300 pounds. And now wait till you see how handsome he is and how look good. I mean, he's like, yeah. And this is how it works. And this is how you do it. And these are all the disease. I love the way he talks. He's like, all the diseases that can go away, all the medication.
I
like,
know. I'm like, I know I could probably ditch my blood pressure medication. My knees and my hips would be much happier.
Mm-hmm.
I could move more easily. I mean, I can't exercise the way I used to
Yeah.
because I'm too heavy and I'm out of shape.
Yeah. And you don't want that.
No, I don't.
No.
Yeah.
So keep the journal out. Even if you write down today, I don't have time to write in you, but I skipped a meal. Like, that's enough.
Right. Well, thank you. Appreciate your time. And are are we going to get back on a regular weekly
Yeah, I'm hoping,
thing now?
yep, I'm getting hopefully 2 girls coming in. spent a lot of time researching, doing those workshops, doing things, and redeveloping my website. So now I'm trying to get all of this onto the new website and hopefully get a few more, new members. Now I can concentrate, like really get out there and get that going.
Right, because you
So,
you said that you had developed a whole second level.
yes.
So I was wondering, if the next couple of months was going to be the same as last October, or if it was going to be new material.
New
Not-
material, I think because you had started at a time when we went into Gap and Gain and all the different stuff before the holidays. So if these few new girls come in, I think you would best serve going back to the basics. Like you missed the beginnings of the Ayurveda and like the really whys and hows of the different habits and things. So we can go over that and see. And then level 2 is actually learning Ayurveda, like really learning the science
Yeah,
of
well, I
Ayurveda.
think we started last fall with the 10 habits, and I bought the book. And
Okay.
we
Yeah.
went through a lot of the exercises,
Okay.
so we did that last time. Not that it's not worth doing again, but new
Yeah.
material is always
Yeah. Oh yeah. Though definitely
interesting.
there's always new material too. So there's always
So are you splitting it into 2 different groups
yeah,
now?
they're
One is the
always
basic track and the other is the
well,
new stuff, or?
the habits course is the habits course, and then the other course has always been the like living Ayurveda, like actually learning the science of Ayurveda and the real science of the food and the implications on the body and really the digestion and all that.
Yeah.
So
Well, I know you did, I mean, I don't know, you know the material, I don't. I know, you talked a lot about how the body actually digests
yeah,
and, the purpose of the fasting,
yeah,
so anyway, I'm paid up through the end of the year, so
yeah, yep.
whatever you got, I'm,
Okay,
I'm good for.
perfect. All right. You have a good weekend,
Thanks. You too.
and
Get back on your regular schedule.
I'm trying, yes, and you know, do it for yourself. It's not for anybody else but you.
I know. Believe me, I know that for sure. All right. Have a good night.
Good week. Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.